What's good, people? It's your boy Femzilla. I'm back again. I thought it was going to be a brief review. I didn't even intend to do a review on this series, but we have to talk about Star Wars Andor. Please excuse me if I'm looking down. I've got like notes here. It's like 5 bullet points anyway, but just I need to talk about this show because I can quite easily say without a shadow of a doubt that Andor is the best written Disney Star Wars property that has dropped since the merger in the past decade, whatever you want to call it. This is simply the A1 standard of what I personally think a Star Wars property should be. First of all, like it's beautiful. It's visually stunning, and yeah, it's. I think it's quite simply the best looking show they've put out. I'm not entirely sure what the budgets were for this show, but they've made the best out of what they had. Like the sets are simple, they're rudimentary, but they look amazing. They're effective. It really gets you into the theme and the motif of what the Galactic Empire was at that point in time. Some of the other Star Wars properties show, it's very much doom and gloom, like people are living in poverty, but as you can see, some of these corpo-backed systems are doing pretty all right for themselves. At the end of the day, even though it was being run by like an evil maniacal Sith, it was not in his best interest to have the entire galaxy fall into disrepair. So there are places that, even though there is this over looming hand of darkness on society, people are living well, people have jobs, there is actual life in the universe rather than this dystopian wasteland that the rebels and the New Republic would make you think it was. But yeah, funny enough, like I did not have eyes on Andor at all. I only realized that Andor as a series was coming out maybe 3 weeks ago. It just wasn't on my radar for some reason, and I would count myself a pretty massive Star Wars fan. So I had very little expectations for it, but it's just completely blown me away. It really is one of the best shows I've seen in a long time, and it's definitely the best Star Wars show. It's certainly better than the Book of Boba Fett. It's definitely better than Obi-Wan, and I think it holds parallels with The Mandalorian. I do think they're two fairly different properties in the way that they try to entertain and capture their audience. But well and truly, I still think this stands at the top. It's extremely well written. It's extremely well framed. Like the composition of each shot it seems so meticulous and so deliberate. And I think it just really delivers what a Star Wars TV show should. A franchise that's so dense and draped in lore and has all these isms and these political systems and subtlety and undertone all wrapped into a series and wrapped into what I think is the perfect timing for each of these episodes, which is 35 minutes, which is I think a bit shorter than all of the other shows besides the animated ones that have come out, but they managed to convey the point in every single episode. And I'm not sure how long this series is planned on running. I don't know if it's a limited series, but I mean, just a word of advice or suggestion to any other writers who are planning to write content for Star Wars and Disney, this is definitely the format that they should go for. So without rambling too much about this show that I've randomly fallen in love with, I want to talk about some of the aspects of Andor. So if you don't know what Andor is, it's actually, this is something that I didn't even know at first. It's a prequel to Rogue One, and Cassian, who I didn't even recognize at first, which is how unique this show even felt. This is like his story before executing what they did in Rogue One. It's set 20. I think it's set in 5 BBY, which is like 27 years after Order 66. So the Galactic Empire have been in place for a while now. People are living under this rule, and things are happening. And it's, Cassian and his journey, him coming from his home planet, which I cannot remember the name, but I'll put it here or wherever. Yeah, and it's his journey after he accidentally murders 2 corpo guards whilst looking for his sister. And we're really just kind of going pace to pace, figuring out what's going on, what happened to her, why he's looking for her, and how he's gonna kind of deal with the fact that he's now a wanted murderer and he's on the run. So it introduces a corporation, which I think if you're a fan of like most sci-fi properties or kind of dystopian future type things, you know that in most cases like planets and systems are usually run by corporations rather than like legitimate governments, because it's all business now, it's all money. So the vice captain of this corporation is really concerned at the fact that 2 of their guards were murdered, and the captain essentially doesn't care, and doesn't see the legitimacy in chasing the person who did that. So he goes on a tirade and a little mission of self-justification to ensure that he brings this person to justice. And it is played by none other. I can't remember his name, but I will double check this. One sec. Okay, so it wasn't him. Funny enough, I thought it was Ewan Bruin, but it is a young man known as Cal Sola, who I haven't actually seen him in anything, but he has a few credits to his name, and he plays the vice captain of this corpo. I believe his character name is Cyril Khan, and yeah, it's just funny enough, like very Ramsay Bolton-ish character, but a lot less evil. Someone who's driven, someone who's actually been raised under the hand of the Empire, and demands this higher level of like brutality and strictness and imperialism. So he's dedicated to chasing Cassian down, and yeah, it I don't want to spoil too much, but it ensues in all these hijinks that get Cassian to where the position he needs to be in the Star Wars universe. One thing I wanted to talk about was the pacing. Kind of just looking on social media before I'd actually seen it, when it first dropped, a lot of people had complained about the pacing, saying it was kind of quite slow and doesn't really pick up till the 3rd episode. And kind of discrediting the show off the rip. But again, I think it's reminiscent of like a very tired and kind of very extremely frustrating sect of the Star Wars fandom, where they expect every show and property to just be blasters and lightsabers from like point A, and although people don't like it, and people have like reserved thoughts about it, the complexities of the kind of political system and the social system that George Lucas and the other writers have created in Star Wars are, one, so well written at times, and so important to the franchise that they're not to be ignored. And I actually thought the pacing of the show was perfect. I thought we weren't getting any real like exposition that wasn't needed. We had a few flashbacks which were short, they were brief, and they actually effectively did what we needed to do. We knew who and Cassian was, we knew where he came from, we knew that, you know, what kind of mannerisms he had as a child from the flashbacks. Like, we got information about the world, we got information about, you know, the economy, the influence of the corporations, the level of security that they had on Andor, and you know, the people that he worked with, the scrappers. So I really think like we got, like, I never felt disengaged during those first 2 episodes, and which kind of made me worried. I thought, okay, if they're doing this well with the first 2, I'm scared. People are saying the action is in the 3rd. I hope that it doesn't lose this touch, and it didn't. It managed to keep it. It was concise. The action was there when it needed to be. You felt the suspense. It kind of felt like I was watching Luther, but in a Star Wars universe, like, or just another thriller. It just felt really, really tight. It felt like the story was going somewhere, and it felt like something that could be long term instead of just, you know, 6 episodes of fan service that don't really come off well anyway. I'm not looking at you, Obi-Wan, but there we go. But yeah, I think Andor, just to wrap it up, because I've been rambling for the past, you know, 5-10 minutes, God knows how long this video is going to be. I think that Andor is very representative of what a serialized Star Wars show could and should be. It's tight, it's concise, it looks amazing. It really does actually look like Rogue One as well. You can see that heavy influence there. Like, obviously having creators and showrunners and all of that on the same show does help, but there's just this level of consistency and a level of high quality that we haven't gotten with any other Star Wars show so far. I really hope they continue throughout. I hope we really get to the end and everyone is satisfied with what we've got. From one Star Wars fan to all of you, please let me know what you think. I love the show. I don't have a bad word to say about it. So yeah, let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below, or tweet me at Femzilla on Twitter, and let me know your thoughts. I know I'm opening up a can of worms, but I really do want to know what other Star Wars fans think of the show. Anyway, peace and love. Thanks, guys.